just peeping that car because it was like felt like it was shadowing me a little bit. Well, everybody shadows you here. Everybody shadows everybody. Like people driving down the street are very easily distracted. That you will own nothing and be happy meme. I don't know. Like it's more like you'll own nothing and be confused. Like for me, it is anyway. I grew up collecting music, collecting comic books, trading cards. I'm a collector, you know. I've had different collectible shops through the years. Multiple, 3 of them. Not because I was successful and opened new chains. It's because I would open one, it would fail. I'd open another one, that would fail. Finally, after the 3rd one, the college money was gone. And then I'm like, oh, I guess just needed that. But I always collected things, right? And now that I'm, when I moved to Hawaii, almost about 9, almost 10 years ago now, I gave all my stuff away. I got on the plane with like a carry-on bag. In fact, I had 2 carry-on bags, right? But one was too big. And I remember I just left it at the airport. And it had some comic books in it for some reason. But I remember one of them was the first appearance of Warlock, him. It was like Fantastic Four number, whatever number that is. It was an early one. So I hope someone found that. It didn't just get thrown away. What else was in there? Oh, some George Perez autographed Man-Wolf issues, because right before I moved there, I went to meet George Perez at my friend's store. And everybody's there with Crisis on Infinite Earths, #1. Not your hero. I come in there with Man-Wolf, you know. Just to be different. Just to be a fucking contrarian. Like everything else. But yeah, I gave it everything away when I moved, you know. And so when I came here, I just started doing streaming stuff. You know, streaming music. Well, I started streaming music years before. Actually, I was into the iTunes thing. I was buying music from Apple. Oh my gosh. So much money. I bought everything I listened to though and like for music. I bought several times, many times, in every different configuration. You figure I came up, I started buying music in the 80s. You know, I was born in 71, so like, I think I had my parents buying me albums at first. You know, Kiss and Journey and Ozzy and shit. But then once I got my own money, I started buying records in like the early 80s sometime. And yeah, so I had the cassette. And then I switched from cassette to CD. Then I started buying everything digitally. So I bought everything multiple times. Special editions, remasters, all that bullshit. So now for like, you know, however much Spotify costs a month, like over $15. I have 2 streamers. I got Spotify and YouTube, because YouTube, they have a music site that comes with your subscription to YouTube, so I automatically get that one. So I get a couple different music streamers. And recently, well, not recently, I subscribe on and off to some comic book streaming kind of services. Right now I've been going through the Marvel one. I go back and forth. Like 6 months I'll be on the DC one, 6 months I'll do the Marvel. I don't like to cross the streams. I was like that way when I was reading too, because I get confused. Oh, here we go. Let's wait for this whole thing to pass by. Oh, no, he's gone. So I find myself in a similar situation as I'm at home tonight. I have like a Samsung pad, like an iPad, or whatever the Samsung version of it is. So I'm looking through the Marvel issues, and basically with these help me, these apps, these streaming apps, these comic streaming apps, you can basically just call up whatever issue from any time, and it's there on your screen, really brightly colored, look beautiful. It looks beautiful. But the problem is, it's hard to just pick one and go. Like, I'll start intending to read one, and then I'll be like, oh yeah, I remember that series, I remember the person, let me take a look at that. So I do the same thing with my music collection, whereas I start listening to a couple of tracks on an album I like, and I start thinking, oh yeah, remember that song, was that, or that guitar player, he was on the, oh yeah, let me check out that. It's hard to stay with one fucking thing. Like, when this stuff was physical, it was more of a commitment. It was more of like, okay, I bought this album, or I bought this comic book, we're gonna read it. There was no, you know, throwing it down the middle, and, well, I mean, some people did, and go through all the other ones you bought, but there wasn't, you had a finite amount of choices, you know? If you're like me, you had a ridiculously big amount of finite choices, but you had finite choices. With the streaming services, it's like any album ever, any comic book ever. So as a consequence, I don't really enjoy anything. Or I'll start doing it, and then just fucking OCD kicks in. But man, those comics look so good in that reader. They look so good. And the good thing about it too is it's like it allows you to experience stuff you wouldn't. Like I wouldn't be able to read all those old Jack Kirby Marvels, you know. I wouldn't be able to, how? Unless you're in like some kind of reprint or one of those big books. I don't like those big books, like those big collector's edition things. I just don't, I don't know. But yeah, it's same thing with music too. Like, if you look at I got my thing back from Spotify. They tally all your listening for the year. And for 2023, I guess my most streamed artist was Sparks, which is weird. I mean, I like them, but I don't think I played them that much. And when I'm looking at the albums I played, the ones I played the most, the tracks are always like, I'll listen to like the first, because I always start albums off at track 1. I'll listen to tracks 1 to 3 thousands of times, and like tracks 8 and 9, like a few dozen, if even that. And that's what happens, man. So yeah, not owning anything, it's like you have an abundance of, it's like the opposite problem now, you know? You don't, shouldn't be respecting your items anyway. You don't like enjoy, you don't experience in the same, I lost a fucking regular word there, and I hate when this shit happens. You don't enjoy them as much as a consequence, because it's all right there, or at least with me. But I've heard other people say the same thing when they're talking about music streaming. It's like, but even in the day, back in the day too, when I look at my music collection, all my discs or tapes or whatever it was, I'd just be like, what do I want to listen to? You know? And a lot of times I'd sit there just for a long time, try to figure it out. That's why shuffle is kind of good. But the thing with that too is I get in the same situation. I hear something, I'm like, oh yeah, that's cool, but I like their first album better. Let me pull that up, listen to 2 tracks, and then, you know, you're on to the next thing again. So I was just thinking about that as I was going through comics on the Marvel reader. But man, it's great seeing some of those issues. Very vibrant. You know, and the pad isn't as big as like a normal comic book would be, but the display is awesome because it's bright, it's big enough. So man, it's big enough so that you see everything, you know. And it's what happened there? There's a bug on that lady's leg or something. She's freaked out. I gotta just put some space between me and people. It's Sunday night. So, just trying not to get monged. So the thing is, it's like, you know, I think that, you know, why are people always monging me? But I think that other people get as monged as I do. It's just not being monged to them. They're just not aware of it. Like, Neil's like that too. Neil's not a robot. You know, I of course had to figure that all out myself. Do various tests, which I still occasionally do. Just to see the level of sentience we have. I have there. But she's more like aggressive when she walks. She's just like, fuck these people, fuck that. Well, and she takes the initiative and just plows through people. I don't do that, you know, because I don't know. I'm a guy, and there's a lot of things women can get away with that men can't, especially any kind of aggressive behavior. You can do that as a woman, but a dude ain't gonna do it. Yeah, so as a consequence, I really don't enjoy anything anymore, this owning nothing thing. And they're trying to get it so that no one can afford to buy a home. Shit, people can't even afford to rent a home or be in a home. You know, getting more homeless people all the time. You know? It's sad. Regular people who normally would never have been homeless, like don't have problems with drugs and alcohol or aren't insane people, just they got caught up in, you know, rent or whatever it is, and they got into a bad position, you know, and then they're, you know, bro, they're on the street. It sucks. It's happening to all kinds of people, like people that, you know, never normally happen to. But, you know, there's a difference between homeless people and the street mutants that you see here. See, homeless people that got in a jam, and they're not on the corner here yelling at people. The guys out here on the corner yelling at people are trying to start shit. Those are guys that have chosen this lifestyle. A lot of them came here from California to live this way. They have no intention of being housed at all. And what do you do about that? You know, there is nothing you can do. And once they get here, good luck getting them off. Like, I know there was some kind of program, someone was telling me on my comments not too long ago, that they were trying to get a program going here that would pay to send people back to their home state. But there's a willingness factor there, too. And I know from being around homeless people, having friends that were homeless, like, when someone comes out with a clipboard and comes into like an area with a bunch of homeless people hanging around, they'll run. You know, they don't want anything to do with that. They don't want any kind of outreach. And I think it's a psychological thing that has to do with maybe a responsibility. Because there was this company too that used to go and they tried to give guys a P.O. box, which they always, you know, kind of need. What song is that? Oh, I'm gonna get a copyright strike for that. Isn't that crazy that happens every time? If you go through my videos, you see copyright. I don't, you know, none of my shit's monetized, so it doesn't matter anyway. But it's funny how things are. And then I see other people that play complete tracks of recorded stuff in their videos, and they don't have a problem. So whatever. Yeah, I'm back to doing whataboutism, because it's different for some people. It's just how it is. But yeah, I mean, they see people coming out to help them. They don't want anything to do with them, because I think it's even having a P.O. box is a responsibility, and some people just don't want that responsibility. You know, like they run from it. Been slow on the demon front lately. I haven't run into anybody or anything, or, you know, I've had a couple close calls, or not close calls, but ones that may have been, but nothing I could get to. There was one across the street like last week that might have been one, but yeah, I was doing a video. I had a bunch of shit in my hands, and you know, I was doing a video, and I didn't feel like crossing the street, but there was a lady that's kind of freaking out, you know. But then you don't know. I mean, I get a vibe sometimes. Like, I can tell if it's just someone acting out, or if it's a thing, how they talk, the sound. It's a frequency, you know, just like a, you know, a radio station or a radio signal. You can kind of feel it, you know. Or at least I can. Other people can too. But, yeah, trying to parse out what an actual possession versus someone looking for attention can be a little hard sometimes. It's a busy Sunday night here. So yeah, as you can see, there's no agenda tonight. Really had nothing particular I want to discuss. Just kind of taking a walk, seeing what's going on. I'm going to shut off for a second while I go into Long's. Zoomers are fucking retarded. I had a video about a year ago called "Are Zoomers Even Human?" And it's like they're like, talk about robots. Like, the problem is they were raised by the internet, so they don't know how to have like interactions with people. They don't know what's appropriate and what isn't. There's a Zoomer that works in there that I know everybody in that place. And, you know, make short conversation with them. Just be polite, like everybody. And there's one Zoomer kid that's like, I always say hi to him. How you doing? And he'll just stare straight and be non-responsive. I just at the counter talking to this lady that I see all the time. And out of the corner of my eye, I saw him, and I thought it was someone else who works here. So I go, hey, how you doing, man? Like, just looked at me, but no response, no nod, no anything. And I'm like, he doesn't have the hairdo that they all have. I think he's like, I don't know what he is. He's some kind of brown, some kind of mystery meat person. But yeah, he does that shit to me all the time. Like, he just, like, what goes on in their head? Like, he sees me saying something to him. Just, I don't think it's me. Like, I don't think he's being a dick to me. I think he's just like that. A lot of these kids are like that. You know, and I was talking to my neighbor about this, and he said it's not just the internet, but they took 3 years from a lot of these kids with this, with that fake fucking bullshit they pulled, you know, 4 years ago. Yeah. 4 years ago now? Oh my God. Was it 4 years? 2020? Yeah. Let's look at it now. Well, cops are pulling up. Somebody jaywalking or sleeping on a bench over here. They probably won't get out. They don't get out of their cars for anything. Unless they have to. And if they have to, there's like a dozen cars. They pull up in force. Usually late to shit. You know what? I'm not going to get on the car. I can tell you so many stories. So many stories, but whatever. They've always been nice to me. But, like everything else here, like every other kind of service here, it's completely ineffectual. Completely ineffectual. Yeah, they took years from these kids with this COVID thing, you know, where they were shut in their house, they couldn't go to school, you know, none of that shit. So, I mean, that adds to it too, you know, I mean, that adds to them not being able to have interactions with people. There was this one kid, this one Zoomer kid that was working at that place I was just in Long's, and it's at the self-checkout, and I'm just, you know, doing my thing, and he's standing like kind of behind me. They're supposed to stand behind you and stare at you so you don't fucking rob them, which is so dumb. I guess all these places are getting rid of their self-checkouts because they're ineffectual. But anyway, as I'm going through the money, like putting money in the machine, I put I had a drink, a can of coffee, and I put it up on my shoulder, kind of as I'm feeding the money in, and kid comes over, tries to take it out of my hand. He thought I was holding it up for him to take. I'm like, what are you doing? And he didn't say like, oh, I'm sorry. Nothing like that. Just no sound. Just kind of looked at me and took a couple steps back. Only later did I figure out what happened. He thought I was like trying to hand it to him or something while I was finishing what I was doing. He wasn't being a dick. He was just being a zoomer. They don't date. They don't have like, very few of them do. They don't seem to have like relationships with each other. The women, the girls too. You know, from what I've seen on the internet and, you know, in real life interactions with people, it's like, they're stunted in some way, you know? But yeah, I was so mad after I said hi to him. Oh, this is the retired kid that doesn't respond. I'm like, oh wait. Yeah, even more so, I don't think he's trying to be a dick, right? But there are people like in my neighborhood that are trying to be dicks, like for whatever reason, maybe the way I look or something, they don't like me. And I hate when I say hi to someone. And I don't want to say hi to them because I want to be their fucking friend. I'm doing it out of courtesy. If we're walking on a very tight, like, sidewalk, and it's just me and you, and you're coming up the sidewalk, it's kind of awkward to not say something, right? And those people that, like, get upset, like, when you talk, like, why are you saying hi to me? It's like, nigga, I don't want to, oh, it wasn't a black guy, by the way, but, I'm just saying that, I don't want to talk to you. It's just that, you know, it's kind of awkward not to say something, right? I don't know. There we go. Still an old bad yellow, got a cloud. Fucking cloud video. You might think, like, well, if you have nothing going on, why are you filming it? And, I don't really have a good answer to that. I went to get that girl on camera, and I looked at her, and she's like 14. I just saw the dress out of the corner of my eye, and I'm like, oh, this will be nice for a thumbnail or something. And then I get her, I'll look at her, she's like 12. That happens, you know, it's a mistake, you know, it's a mistake. A lot of times I feel like I'm just kind of observing. Well, 'cause, I mean, I guess I have. But, like, I just feel so separated from a lot of the people out here. Like, I feel like I'm just, like I'm wandering through an enclosure of some kind. Like, I'm among them, you know? Because, I mean, when I was younger, I always had the idea like I was different from people because I was like an edgy teen mode, like, oh, these people don't understand me. With my fucking goth punk look going. Actually, that hasn't changed at all. But I mean, you know what I mean? Like, I was more done up. I used to be a lot more done up than I used to. I haven't worn makeup in a couple weeks, actually. It's kind of weird. I get in the habit of waking up and just putting it on. But if I don't wake up and put it on, I don't usually wear it. Plus the heat. I think the heat makes things different. When the weather's colder, I'll always have my makeup on, but I don't know, something about the summertime. That and, well, the other thing too is you can't dress cool here. You know? I mean, that's not cool. It ain't fucking cool at all. But it's too hot to you know, to commit to anything cool. I mean, I have my, you know, my jewelry and shit like that, but So it kind of clashes sometimes, you know. I don't usually go too over the top, but when I was younger I did. But I always felt like, oh yeah, and these people don't understand me. I'm different. You feel like you're separated from people. But now, as I'm older, and the more I've learned and come to understand about the world and its inhabitants and the people around me, I really feel separated from people. You know, a lot of times, like when I'm walking around out here, like right now, filming, I just feel like they can't see me, like I'm invisible. And I feel more that way when they walk into me. Yeah, sometimes it's weird. People, like, sometimes they just don't see you. A lot of fire around here. That's what I like. A lot of things are on fire in Hawaii. They got alt-right tiki torches everywhere. I guess it must be, you would think, we're in like a alt-right paradise with all the tiki torches. Whose idea was that? Like, what Fed came up with that idea? Alright guys, we're all gonna wear Hawaiian shirts. They must have been connected, right? Hawaiian shirts, tiki torches, or like, who kind of decided on that look? It's crazy. It's funny too, all these patriot movements, like, what was I talking about? A couple weeks ago I was talking about that newer one they have, like, it's always called Patriot Storm or Storm something, and always so obvious what they are. Well, to me and other people it is too. We get a lot of feds here, walking around amongst the people. I noticed that when I first moved here. I was thinking it, and then people would point them out to me like, yeah, that guy's undercover, that guy's undercover. A lot of it is for the drug trade here, you know. But there's so many of them that every time I see someone that looks surprised, I just assume, you know. With CIA guys, always, for a little tip, you always look at the shoes and the watch. I'm not going to get too into it, but that's a hint for you. And the sunglasses, if you're in an area like this. I guess they don't have to try that hard because, like, most people don't know what they're looking for, you know? They're usually almost always white guys. I've never seen a black undercover guy. Ever. Or come to think of it, even here, like, I've never even seen, like, an Islander undercover. Ever. I've seen one woman, or a girl, she was a young girl. But, yeah, it's always like, there's always white dudes, late 20s, early 30s. That's your standard Fed. We're just going to do a long Schizo patrol. What, am I going to cross? Yeah, I don't like to do this. Everything inside me is going, no, don't. See over here, like this where the hand is? You're only supposed to walk when there's a white stick figure. It means it's okay to go. Now, if you're a tourist, who cares? I mean, they're not gonna ticket you. But they know. They know who the residents are, and they know if you're just passing through. So if you're passing through, who gives a fuck? I mean, I had tickets in probably half the U.S. states for different things. But, because you're getting on a plane, you're going to leave. So they don't bother with people. Usually, they won't even bother. But, they see me in this neighborhood, they'd love to give me a ticket. Well, they have. Plenty of them. You're smoking, jaywalking, Plus, I'm white. So they love that even more, because they don't like the white man here. I think that's really the only time I've ever faced any kind of what I could tell was a white thing. Usually people are really cool to me. The locals have always been really cool. They probably talk shit when I walk away, but, they've been cool to me, on a regular, like, hang out, walk around basis, Aside from a few exceptions, but I don't think that had anything to do with a racial thing. I think it just happened to be they were a different thing than me. But I don't think that was the crux of the problem. I think that was more of just, they were just assholes, you know. But yeah, everyone here has been really nice to me. I'm very lucky here. Like I was just saying to someone in my comments in the last video, like I wake up here and like I can't believe this in my life. Not just living in such a beautiful place, but in the situation I'm in with the people I have around me. I just think, like, you know, grades 1 through my second junior year in high school, you have that constant voice telling you, you're going to be pumping gas under a bridge. You're going to be pumping gas under a bridge. You're going to be, it's like you are all wrong. You are all fucking wrong. When you're young, you get things like, or even when I was that way up until, you know, 20s, maybe even early 30s, I was like, I'm going to do this and I'll show them, you know, I'm going to get back by doing that. When you do sort of get back and you overcome the things that people said you weren't going to be able to overcome, you don't really think about them. You don't care. Like I was just mentioning all my teachers, like I never think about that, you know, except for the fact that it's funny, because shit, like really young they're telling me that kind of stuff, you know. It's fucking wild how teachers used to be able to treat kids. Like I have very vivid memories of being treated a certain way in certain classes. It's weird because I have a vivid memory of shit like that, and then other things I can't remember, you know. But everybody's like that, I think. Everybody's like that, you know. It probably has stuff to do with that trauma and things like that, and plus they have the DID situation going, which I don't really talk about that too much. I've done a couple videos on it, but I have a lot of shit like that I show a lot of restraint. Well, I don't really care about fucking getting attention online. It's not why I do this, certainly. You know, if you look at the fucking shit I talk about. This is just fun. It's creative. It's something I could do on my own. Being a musician most of my life, it's kind of a nightmare, because yeah, you know, the playing shows is great, recording studio is great, but for someone that doesn't play an instrument, but I do write songs, I just hum the guitar lines, I bang the drums out on my knees, hum the bass line, and then write the lyrics and sing the melody over it. I'm not moving too fast here, buddy, huh? Just want to get through the lights, is that it? A lot of them do that. They throw the brights on to cruise through and look at girls. Again, you know, like I said earlier, services here. But, yeah, so to do that creative endeavor, I need like 3 or 4 other motherfuckers. And that sucks. Because you have to, it's like having a relationship with 3 or 4 different people at once. I've been lucky with some of them, you know, but I mean, it still comes down to, it's so hard because you need people that are not only understand your vision, or in the best case scenario, share your vision, have the same level of enthusiasm to do what you want to do. Like everything was compromised. Everything was compromised. Everything I always wanted to do, you know, I'd have to get people who then didn't want to be as extreme as I did, or didn't want to go, yeah, I'll do that, but not this. Yeah, I'll do. So by the time I'm done, it's like this watered fucking down version of what I wanted to do, you know. So it was always kind of disappointing. That's why I don't think I never really put 100% into it anyway. It wasn't really what I wanted to do. I just kind of fell into music. I remember the reason I got into it is because when I was a freshman in high school, I was still chunky back then. I was a very skinny kid. I have a very small, skinny kind of frame. I'm back to normal now. I'm not skinny as I wasn't as a kid, but when I was young and started having problems, I think subconsciously I put the weight on as like a defense. Like, look, I'm fat. You're not interested in me. And that lasts a while. So, and plus I'm really, like, super fucking shy. I still am, I'd rather just not bother people, But I was in, science class. I remember the kid in front of me. We had these notebooks, and I had the Kiss logo on his notebook, and I had one of mine. He's like, hey, I Kiss. I'm like, yeah. He goes, you sing? And I'm like, yes. I've never sang before in my life. He goes, we have a band, we need a singer. And that's how I got into it. And there's a video from that band, actually, on YouTube. You can watch it right now. It's called, the name of the band was Asgard. Because of course it was. And it came at a funny time in the band's history. When we first started, like our first major gig in our early years, major gig, I think it was a church hall. That's online too. That's on YouTube too. Fucking funny. But yeah, we were like we liked Manowar and a lot of metal. But this is like 86 when we started. So by 88 or 87, the glam metal thing had kicked in. And we changed our fucking kind of image to be more like that. But we still had the name Asgard. And the video that we did, it was like one we did ourselves. It's a song called Susie Come Out Tonight. It's very original. Yeah, if you want to laugh, that's the me singing that fine looking young girl on lead vocals is me. And then once you start in a band, it's like you just get known as the person in a band. Like, oh, he's a singer. And then I was like, oh, I guess this is what I do. But I never had the passion for it, But I am a creator. I like to create. I was an artist when I was a little kid. I actually got one of my... I'm not going to flex. I'm not going to flex on my fucking single-digit fucking art career. Point is, I've always been a creative person. So this here gives me something to be creative with. Not so much this part, this filming stuff. It's the editing and adding things and creating the thumbnails. Although I gotta do something different with the thumbnails. They all look the same now. But consistency, people like to... Every time I change it up a little bit, no one watches it. It's almost like they don't know what it is. So I gotta do something about that. These are first world YouTube problems that very few can relate to. If you can relate to any of this shit. But anyway, that was Sunday Night Schizo Patrol. Thank you for dropping in. I always appreciate you coming by and visiting. Hope to see you again soon. Until then, as always, don't blame the teacher. Blame the school. Oh no, wait, hold on. Where's my Steadicam?